Welcome to Inside the Firm, a podcast dedicated to small business owners and hosted by entrepreneurs, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko. Each week, they take you on their journey of how to start, run, and grow a business by bringing you inside their architecture and real estate development firm. Get a behind-the-scenes tour of how these business leaders manage their clients and foster company culture while creating new and innovative projects. And now your hosts, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko.
Welcome to Inside the Firm. Welcome to.
This is his second try, just so everybody knows. Supposedly he's the co-host. He's the co-host. Actually, the host. I'm the co-host.
Well, I was gonna say I'm your architect Al Gore. I'm here with contractor Lance Cayko, but we'll do it live, Lance.
We're doing it live.
Doing it live.
No
So
editing.
You're welcomed, everyone. And know who doesn't mess up as much as me? Dell.
Wow, they got it. They get it right.
They get it right.
They do get it right.
I've never ordered.
I'm still
a
loving
computer.
my laptop. I'm still loving my laptop and this 75-inch screen behind us. It's one of the coolest things to watch. Is like I'll come up in the morning, or it doesn't matter what time it is, and Al will be sitting with one of his staff members, and they'll be on a Zoom meeting, looking at everybody on the flat screen.
They're as live as big as people.
We're in the future.
We are
literally in the future. Bleeding edge, cutting edge, all that stuff.
Yep. So if you want that, they've never sent me a computer I didn't order.
That's a fact, Jack.
100% on that. You can get 5% off still by going to dell.com/inside the firm. You'll see a little shop, save here, save now button. And you press that, put in your email, get the coupon code, save 5%, get cool stuff. They send it to you. Done. That's how it's done. How it's done.
Make it happen. Make it happen. We should be getting 2 new monitors very soon from them. We also save 5% on that.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
Yeah, weird. You got some blue ribbon there? You get how much?
I'm drinking a PBR today.
They got some upstairs?
They got some PBRs, but Al is not. Al is a clean-cut model American. Captain America is what I call him.
I only drink in North Dakota.
Wow.
I only drink.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here.
I was on the ride in. So we go up fishing and
only drinks in North Dakota.
And we go fishing basically on an island and then stay at his brother's house and there's basically no laws or rules out there
in North Dakota.
So we have the guns and booze and fishing and all that, and I miss it because we didn't get to go this year.
I'll go next year.
We need to.
That'd be good.
Yeah. So.
Sounds great. Did you know we are already almost 6 months into 2020, Al?
Wow.
Guess what?
We're a day away.
Yep.
That's crazy.
But guess what? It is not too late to meet your goal of increasing your firm's productivity this year. ArcCat has the tools any size firm needs to compete, whether it's using ArcCat's powerful search to find product data, downloading high-quality specs, getting the right BIM for your model, or using the patented Spec Wizard to configure a specification in minutes. Best of all, it's free to use and requires no registration. So check out arccat.com, that's ARCAT.com, and start building better content, including those specifications, today.
All right. I want to shout out Rob Warner.
I also want to shout out, not Rob, Rod Warner, Al.
Rod.
So Rod is an avid listener of the Inside the Firm podcast, and he had a awesome comment the other day on one of our last episodes. And what he said, our intramural basketball team in architecture school was called the Fountainheads.
Oh.
F-heads for short.
Were there 9 of them so they could be F9? Next semester.
Yeah,
next year.
So thanks for that tidbit, Rod. Al and I, we remember we were playing basketball.
Yes,
and it was fun. And what we would do is we would beat the landscape architects.
We would challenge the landscape architects.
We would crush the landscape architects
all the time. And
Kyle Sack, also a fellow listener of Inside the Firm. Shout out to Kyle Sack. He was our Dennis Rodman.
Yes. No, he was better than Dennis.
He was better than Dennis
because he could make shots.
He could make shots.
I don't know how he made them.
Yep.
He did them from weird angles. He threw them up.
It was
and
the
they
best.
Went down.
It was the best. I love that stuff.
So speaking of the Fountainhead, you read the Fountainhead.
Damn. So somebody needs to. So I finished the Fountainhead. Holy cow, 32 hours long.
Yep.
If anybody listening hasn't read the Fountainhead and you are an architect, you should read the Fountainhead. But I highly recommend skipping the preface written by Ayn Rand, in the unabridged version, because I feel like I should not have went through that. I should not have, because it's like anything, right? So, one of the best things about buildings in my world, especially even if you're the architect of record and you're the builder and the developer, like the one we're sitting in right now, is the surprises that you aren't expecting.
Yep.
Right? So when I walk people through our building,
You blindfold them.
kind of. Like, I'm not going to say, I don't want to just tell them every little thing about it. I want there to be surprises, right? I want, like, that there should be part of that. That's part of experience. Like, without surprises, life sucks. It really does. Like, you got to have some fun surprises in your life in order for that to happen. Well, I just think she set the tone incorrectly for it, for me anyway, because one of the things she said is, she says her goal with the character Howard Rourke, who is the main character, he's the architect.
Are you going to do this to everyone else? Or should you not ruin it?
I shouldn't ruin it.
There
exactly.
you go.
So that's my point, is skip the preface.
Yes.
And just go into the book and experience the book for yourself, because the experiencing the book for yourself, it's your interpretation. And I just think the author is a bad idea. From now on in my life, like, that is going to be a thing that I do. I'm not going to listen to the preface about why anybody wrote the damn book. You wrote the book. Good.
I agree with you, because I probably read anywhere between 5 and 15 books a year. I don't know. I'm
bet
just
you read
guessing.
more than that.
Sure, maybe. I haven't read a good preface yet. I haven't. Honestly, a lot of times when I see them, I'm like, oh, should I even read this? And a lot of times I skip them because I've just learned, like, I haven't read a good one yet.
So that's my fault. I read a couple books a month, so I'm reading more now, just so everybody knows.
It's a fact, Jack. Listen, Joe always says that, because people get mad that I say I read a book when I really listen to it on Audible. I'm like, what? Who cares? Same thing, kind of.
No, it's literally the same thing.
There you go.
Especially when the thing about Audible, and this is actually where it's going with this next, is I have 3 clips I want to share with everybody, including yourself, Al, and we're gonna do it live. So I
do it live.
Yeah, we're gonna do it live, and I'd say that's the difference. So, like, I know you do both. You do hard. You listen to them, and then you also read. You also physically read them, and then you write little notes, right?
Yep.
You're still doing that crap,
right? But most of the books I'll listen to. But if it's a book about, like, technical stuff, or like a business book, I'll probably buy it and send it to myself.
Yep. Exactly. So I have 3 clips out of the book that I would like to share with everybody. And so the first one is the interview when the main character, Howard Rourke, goes and works with his hero, which is Henry Cameron. That was this original, like, rock star architect.
Al Gore.
Pretty much Al Gore. Actually, kind of Al Gore in the sense that, like, Al is a contrarian. He does what he wants. And that's what Henry Cameron did, and that's what Howard Rourke did.
I already don't like him.
See, that's what I'm saying. He doesn't even, he's just to a T. Yeah. To a T. So
put up those softballs, I'm going to hit them.
Yeah, so to piggyback again on top of, like, I shouldn't have listened to the damn preface. I should have just experienced the book myself. And so these were the 3 most intriguing parts of the book, just from an architecture standpoint and thinking about what we do. So are you ready, Al?
Ready.
Okay. If it'll play.
An interview given by Henry Cameron, dated May 7th, 1892. It said, "Architecture is not a business, not a career, but a crusade and a consecration to a joy that justifies the existence of the earth."
That was a crusade.
Do you want me to play one more time? I can play one more time.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, play one more time.
An interview given by Henry Cameron, dated May 7th, 1892. It said, "Architecture is not a business, not a career, but a crusade and a consecration to a joy that justifies the existence of the earth."
What do you think about that?
I agree and don't agree.
Okay, tell me why you...
I agree because it said a joy to justify the earth. right? Okay, a joy to justify the earth.
What does that mean?
And also, like, I would include us in the earth, right? So I like that.
You're from the earth, but sure.
Yep. And then, but I don't like crusade, not because of its historical implications, not that at all. That's fine.
Okay.
But because of how people might like take it now, like a crusade. So they'll literally, like, some people, and you won't believe me, like, oh yeah, we got to murder people that don't believe our way. Like, this is how serious this is.
The authority. It's an authoritarian view of what an architect and architecture should be.
Yep.
I'm like, holy cow, that is an extreme.
Yep. If you don't think that this is a joy to justify the earth, I will kill you. Be like, I think you're missing the middle part.
I just want to sell sandwiches. Can you get me a permit to sell sandwiches?
Nope.
In my sandwich shop.
Nope.
Yep.
Nope.
Okay. The second one is called
Building is a great symbol.
Yep. And this is Howard Rourke talking to Gail Winan, and Gail Winan is the newspaper guy. So he's one of the other main characters. He's this very wealthy individual. So we'll hear that next.
Most people build as they live, as a matter of routine and senseless accident. But a few understand that building is a great symbol. We live in our minds, and existence is the attempt to bring that life into physical reality, to state it in gesture and form. For the man who understands this, a house he owns is a statement of his life. If he doesn't build when he has the means, it's because his life has not been what he wanted. You don't think it's preposterous to say that to me, of all people? No. I don't either. Rourke smiled.
So
I agree, but
you're sitting in a building
yeah.
that you manifested,
Yeah.
blood, sweat, and tears,
Yeah.
barely made it out.
Yep. Sketched it out.
Doesn't that kind of resonate in
Yes.
that sense?
Yes.
Of like this, I'm serious. Like being able to build my own custom house with my wife.
Yep.
Design and build it exactly how I wanted it.
Yep.
And then this office building, like that one hit me right in the feels.
Right. So this is why I
And
like it.
then I was like, yeah, I'm basically Howard Rourke.
This is why I like it, is because, yes, everything you said. But then I think going to the overall about, and like this whole book, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's like, I almost think it ruined architects. Ruined architects.
Thank you.
Because when we get...
It ruined a generation of architects. It actually, I think...
Multi-generations.
Multi-generations, and then I think the other thing it did too is it ruined the public perception of architects.
Yes. Because... And it's because they almost take it too seriously. Like when an architect will quit on a client because they want to change a window pattern or something like that. But like blows my mind because it's too self-important. But here's the nuance. Like, okay, your house is a manifestation of who you are, right? It's true, but why? Like, you don't know people's motivations, and so I won't speak to other people's motivations. I'll speak to my own motivations. I could, if I want, go buy a piece of land and start planning out my new house, right? I have kids that are 0, 8 months, and 3 or 4. I live in the middle of a neighborhood across from an elementary school and a park. So, what do I want more right now? Do I want my kids to have friends and a park and an elementary school? Or do I want to make my house, which in Colorado it's different. Like, I know a lot of places, like, I have to have a place like Lance or different, like, you have to have almost an acre. It's more for, like, if you're building your own house, it's more of a custom neighborhood.
That was the only way for me and my wife and our family and myself. That's what it had to be exactly the things you're talking about.
Exactly. And Lance's kids are older. They're almost driving. Once you can drive, they'll go find their friends.
They're literally driving.
So you know what I mean? Like it's yes, but then like you don't know how people are thinking about their own life. You know what I mean? So that's how it ruined architects, is because they think everyone should be thinking it's all about the architecture. Is it, or is someone thinking about their kids? Like. How do you know what they're thinking?
I'm really glad that Alex brought up the fact that that he. So I'm glad it made you think about your house, right?
Right.
It was very direct.
Yeah.
It was very. So for me, again, it hit me of like, oh no, I've done both of those things. I'm living. Like
yeah.
I am living as much as I can in regards to that of being an architect. So don't you guys think Al should buy some land to build his own house?
Then so
But
how are my kids going to
him in his
go,
dumb neighborhood.
Yeah. Literally,
His dumb walkable neighborhood with the elementary school.
Exactly.
He literally. So Al could throw a football far
very far.
like-
Thank you.
yards.
Plural, what yards?
He could hit the school.
Yes,
That's
with
what
a
I'm trying to
football.
get across here is that
Yes.
guy walk out his front door, hit the elementary school.
Yes.
And your wife is a stay-at-home wife, so it makes sense.
with the kids.
But besides his perfect house that he has selected for himself for his family and his living, he should still.
Still, if I could find a house that was in a neighborhood with kids our age that I could custom build and also had multiple parks, like the amount that like we just had friends over the other weekend that lived in our neighborhood. You know, it's just like we both acknowledge, like it's what are you thinking of? What are you doing right now? What is your priority?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, good.
But,
That was
okay.
perfect, actually, because just so everybody knows, I was hoping Alex would have that exact response. Okay, this is the third clip that I'll play next. So this is Gale. This is Gale whining back to Rourke. And yeah, Al, you better come over here so you can listen because you're hard of hearing from all the Army stuff.
The man who wants to tell you what a house should look like must either be able to design it better or shut up. I'll say only that I want my house to have the Rourke quality. What is that? I think you understand. I want to hear you explain it. I think some buildings are cheap show-offs, all front, and some are cowards apologizing for themselves in every brick, and some are the eternal, unfit, botched, malicious, and false. Your buildings have one sense above all, a sense of joy. Not a placid joy, a difficult, demanding kind of joy. The kind that makes one feel as if it were an achievement to experience it. One looks and thinks, I'm a better person if I can feel that.
All right.
Again, like,
Woo.
it's nice.
Ooh,
It
that
gets
is-
your blood boiling. It's the reason why a generation is ruined.
Yep.
But it's great.
Here's what I thought of it. So every time I listen to stuff like that, or you hear anything, it's just like Al's reaction to, and my reaction about like the previous clip of in architecture, you like the house that you live in is a reflection of your life or whatever, right? So you're always applying these things to yourself. So I thought like, okay, how would I apply that to us? About like in other words, if a client said, this is what their house should be, like they better be able to do it better than us. So I thought about Eastwatch when I heard that statement. I thought like, do you remember there was actually 2 or 3 different options, and it was no, just show them one.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, and I think for you too, we've come to this conclusion now. We've been practicing for about a decade. Is when you land on the option. I
Right.
don't think you need to do these multiple options. I think it shows lack of confidence, but like that option has to be able to morph. That's probably the difference, right?
Right. And so this is actually what I wanted to talk about next was we have a project where it's an art studio, and the client showed a bunch of really cool photos of like open, spacious glass, high end, right? And they have enough money. And like that statement is fine if you have enough money, right?
Oh, all these people in this book, they have he has unlimited budgets, and it's so silly.
Yep,
Like, what a fantasy. But I guess that maybe, I'm not going to talk about the preface. Keep going.
Yeah. So then one of our guys was making a mashup of her ideas, her program, and what was on Pinterest, right? And it was cool, right? It was cool. Did you see it at an arc?
Yep.
Right. And then I go, wait, stop. I go, I got an idea. I go, she's an artist, right? So what if the building that she's an artist is art, right? Have you seen the new version?
Yes.
Right. And last night I was thinking about too, and think about this slightly curved, like S line and an arched roof that will then have, earth on top, right? But where that S is, it's all glass, right? So I thought the idea is like, when you're creating this art, don't you want to live in light and be wrapped in a blanket of the earth? You know, it's going to be super expensive, and that's the only one we're going to present to them.
Good.
It's going to be really, really expensive, and they might be able to do it. And here's the difference: is like, okay, maybe sometimes when you feel that design risk, take that risk. And on both ends of this curve, like, it comes out of the earth and like gets bigger in the center, and it's very organic, and it has a huge glass wall. But if they say, hey, how much is this? And I'll tell them a number. You're like, hey, it's going to be, you know, like, you almost might have to double your budget that you were thinking before. And they might hate it. Don't think they will. But if they like it and they say, hey, that's great, we just can't afford that. Do we say, okay, you design something better, or listen to me? Or do we say, okay, we can go back to more conventionally framed, designed stuff. We just wanted to try this out and see if you could go there, because you're creating art, and we wanted to see if you wanted to live in it too.
Yeah. It's a very Ayn Rand book. That's the short of it, right? She's a very cold, calculating, just, you know, I mean, it's
like a purist.
She's a purist. She is a purist, absolutely 100%. Especially if you watched or read, you could actually. So, shout out to Earl Parson, because he was like, I can't believe you're crapping on the Fountainhead on Facebook. We're friends, and he about the movie. He's right. So Earl, you're right. The movie sucks. The movie sucks because you're trying to fit. Here's where I will finally agree with you, book nerds, even though I am a book nerd. Of like, the movie sucks compared to the book. The book is 32 hours long. If somebody reads it to you, that's how long it was on Audible. That is a long book. A typical book that I read is 5 to 8 hours long. I crush it in one weekend.
Right.
You can't condense, and that's why I was confused about the trial too. So there is a second trial, right? Because he builds up the government building, and then he gives a speech and gets out of it. But Atlas Shrugged, you can watch the new series, and that one is better because they drew it out with the series. But even if you watch that one and or read the book, like, it's a very pure look at the world, and there's just much more of a gray area. Like, you're operating in a gray area.
Right.
But recognizing the black and white. I think that's the critical point here, is like, you are in the gray area, but like, there are black and white spaces that you have to acknowledge.
Right. I think that was the main point. I think you kind of summed it up well, because it's like anything. Like, just think if you're giving advice to raise a kid, right? Just think, hey.
By the way, best advice is you don't know shit. Put the books down.
But pretend.
Al
like,
thought he knew everything. What a disaster.
Al does, and is executing perfectly.
His kids are talented. One of the oldest one is now what, the sweatpants are on backwards, inside out.
They're inside out and backwards.
Good.
And he tells
that's
me
how they go.
That's the way they go, Dad.
Yep.
So that's I'm living my best life right now.
Yep.
But let's pretend, Lance, you're like, I want to pretend like I teach Al everything. So I'm gonna tell him, you know, how to raise his kids. Not that you would, right? But like, you know what? You need to be disciplined here, and then, you know, they need to do this, and then you need to have fun here. Every parent can know, hey, thanks, bud. That's just great advice. I'm sure that's gonna work out exactly like you said. You know.
Yep.
Because they're kids.
They're kids.
So it's the same thing in life, in architecture, in politics. Hey, that's great that you have this idea that this is how this should run. Are you sure that that's how it's really done? Like, that's not how it really happens.
It's not how it really happens.
Because you can't explain the nuance and all that. So what would be your advice then for students or anyone that's picking up this book? Should they read this book? Is it too dangerous that it will taint their minds into becoming purists? Or should they read this with a grain of salt?
You read it with a grain of salt. You read it with a grain of salt in respect to actually being a practicing architect. And then if you really want to go the Howard Rourke route, then I dare you to become an architect as a developer. So you can get cut down to your knees and realize even when you're in full control, it's still not going to turn out. You're still not going to get exactly what you want out of the situation.
But then use all of your own money and then blow it up because your artist self tells you to.
Yeah. And don't ever. The other thing too is don't put a lot of faith in other people to execute your ideas if you're a purist, because that's the mistake he made with Peter Keating in the book. Is Peter Keating is this? He literally calls him a leech. I actually cut that one out. That was going to be the fourth segment. It's his speech to the jury that eventually acquits him.
Who is Peter? The contractor?
Peter Keating is sort of his. He's not even really a rival. He was. I can't believe you don't remember this. They both graduated at the same time. Basically.
I remember his name. Yeah, it's coming. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was Dominique Francon's first husband.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, but basically he was like the guy who had no design skills.
Yes.
And then he would use Howard Rourke to come in and work with him, right? So like, if you are a purist, then you have to be pure in the sense of the way you work for yourself too. So that would be it. But to reiterate, a grain of salt if you read it, if you're going to be a practicing architect who works with other people. And I mean clients, and eventually if you want to have a firm like ours where like, oh no, we have employees who, if we were purists, we would destroy our livelihoods, their livelihoods, and it wouldn't work. So if you're going to be a purist, fine, be a purist by yourself. Don't have kids. I'm serious. Don't have kids. Live like Howard Rourke and be kind of like you just live in like a 1-bedroom apartment shack. You don't give a shit. It's all about the art. Go for it.
What's great then
that's your prerogative.
Is
then.
once you do that, once you become a purist and you don't have kids and you do everything by yourself, then you think you know everything. So then you tell everyone else how things should be done because you've done it that way, and you don't realize that they are dealing with all these other issues. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, oh, but what if we don't want to divorce our wife, not see our kids, and have a firm? I'm not saying that that's the only way, but you get what I'm saying.
I do.
So it's still worth reading.
Yeah, why?
I want you to say like, no, they shouldn't read it.
Here's the kicker.
Yeah.
So I'm 37, right?
Going on 60.
Going on 60. We've built 3 incredible tiny houses. We are sitting in a custom development that we do every inch of it, pretty much exactly how we wanted it. I mean, it did come down to that. Like, we did get what we wanted.
Yeah.
Especially in the office. I mean, it really is what we wanted down to a T. My house is basically what I wanted.
Yep.
I mean, even that one down to a T in the details and how it's all flushing. We're still like finishing on the inside. It actually inspired me. I'm like, oh man, after the kids are gone, I want to do another custom house for myself, and I want it to be pure.
Bam.
Like I want to make it pure.
Bam. So I'm a hypocrite because that's the real reason why I'm not doing my house is because I don't have enough money to be pure enough. Because when I want to do it, I'm going to want to do it the way I want to do it.
And that's why I even said for my house, I said basically. It's basically.
Exactly. And we know, like, it's a great house. But, like, we all know what you do differently.
I want it to be pure.
And it will be totally different. So that's the real reason is, like...
insanely pure. Just like, this is the purest, perfect space everywhere.
Yep. We don't have enough money to be pure, and most people don't. Most people don't. Even... Yeah.
Yeah. So just leave that as a gut. There you go. There's 3 things to take away from it, and it's long. So I hope you have time. Maybe you have time to do it now.
But besides that, is it just a fun book?
It is a good book.
Nice.
It's a very good book.
Nice.
Yeah. Design risk. What are we talking about, Al? Is that you?
I already talked about that.
Oh, you already talked about that.
Yeah.
In other news, we are searching for a new employee, and because we're just, I don't know, somehow we're crushing it here, and we've gotten the most responses off of LinkedIn. Uh-huh. So we can post on LinkedIn, and I wanted to share this with everybody because it's really interesting about how they sort everything. So we've had 29 applicants so far.
Do you have a premium LinkedIn? Do you have a regular LinkedIn? Do you pay for LinkedIn?
No, I don't have the premium. I have the freebie version.
Okay.
But then you can go to jobs, and you can post a job, and then you pay for it, right? So then I'm going to manage job posts. And
how much do you pay for it?
Exactly. So let me look it up and see what we are paying for it so far. I think we're paying. It's actually pretty expensive, but it is working. It's about $20 a day is what we're paying, and we're going to do it for a week. So it's going to spend. So what are we going to spend there? 22. It was $22 a day.
So
about $150. But the thing I really like about it is that when I go to look at the applicants, it sorts them by relevance, and then it also takes. So one of our stipulations for this particular employee was you got to have a master's degree, professional degree, and honestly, it was partly because of some of our staff who really drove that, and because some of them have master's degree. Like the next piece, where we've recently hired 2 industrial designers, and they're great because they're more hands-on. Sam is in the field working with Bill, like they're killing it on this barn that we're building, but they just really want, like, we need an actual person who
has been practicing in Revit.
It's going to be an architect.
Design.
No, that they're going to be an architect.
Red Ayn Rand.
Ayn Rand, yeah. That's all they want to do. That's all they want to do is architecture. So that was one of our stipulations. You can put these stipulations in LinkedIn, and you can say it will filter them. If you don't have a master's, it won't even bring up the best ones because you can sort by relevance, the ratings, and it'll only show you like unrated, good fit, maybe not a fit. And so I don't even want to see the not a fit ones. I just want to see the ones that have the masters, and then there's other little things you can play with too. But I would highly recommend if anybody ever tries it. Like we've tried ZipRecruiter, we've tried the other ones that you hear like Indeed.com and stuff like that, even Craigslist. But LinkedIn has really brought us some interesting candidates. So try it out if you're looking for employees. If you're in a position to hire, I think it's worth it. What do we got next, Al?
Let's bring down everyone for ARE Jeopardy. Question 1. Waterproofing is meant to protect against A. Moisture and water subject to hydrostatic pressure. B. Continuous exposure to water. C. Mortgage fraud. D. Soil moisture. Doo-doo-doo. Doo-doo-doo. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. A, B. The answer is A. So damp proofing is just your normal water dampness from the soil. Waterproofing has to have hydrostatic pressure, right? And then you need to seal everything, all the seams and stuff like that. So, Question 2. Open buildings have what percentage open, right? When you're classifying an open building. Kind of like...
So a parking structure?
Yep.
Okay.
A, 80%. B, 40%. C, 20%. D, 60%. Doo-doo-doo. A, 80%. B, 40%. C, 20%. D, 60%. Doo-doo-doo. D, B, D. The answer is A. The answer is A. All right, here we go, Lance.
All right, Lance, number 3. What is the transfer of heat between two parts of a stationary system caused by a temperature difference between the parts called? A, convection. B, conduction. C, heat transfer. D, transduction. What is the transfer of heat between two parts of a stationary system caused by a temperature difference between the parts called? A, convection. B, conduction. C, heat transfer. D, transduction. We have A, B, B. The correct answer is B.
There you go.
Conduction. I made several of those up. Number 4. The reverse vaporization, the change in physical state from gas phase into liquid phase, is called A, vaporization, B, condensation, C, liquidation, D, participation of condensation. The reverse vaporization, the change in physical state from gas phase into liquid phase, is called A, vaporization, B, condensation, C, liquidation, D, participation of condensation. And we have, okay, now I know how to read Jason's. B, B, and B, the correct answer is B.
Look at that.
Everybody
So
got it.
How many? 3, 2, 1. Mark Pedler wins again. He's picking lunch. What do you pick? He picks McDonald's. We're all going to McDonald's. We'll see you there. So that's it for us. If you enjoyed this, you are going to enjoy learning about Revit if you need to learn about Revit. And the way to do it is to go to RevitRocketship.com, where we teach you our tricks, tips, templates, have everything there for you to learn Revit. We've taught university students, professionals, and everyone at our firm using this system. Go to RevitRocketship.com.
I have a challenge for the listeners, and that is if you have a guest that you would like us to interview, I would love to have them on the Monday Morning Coffee episodes. You already know who we've had on so far. So email us, text us, whatever you got to do to get a hold of us, tweet at us, and we'll see you next week.